Hello and welcome to week 16. So you are definitely in the home stretch. We only have 2 weeks left to go. So hopefully you're starting to feel like you can take a deep breath because the end is in sight. So this week we're going to move on to a topic that I saved towards the end of this course because I wanted to make sure that we really focused on how important the families are. As we are working with young children. So what I have learned from all of my years of being a teacher in both primary grades as well as even in higher education is that families can be your best friend or they can be your worst nightmare. And I don't say that to scare you, it's to let you know that the way that we treat parents is going to be reciprocated in the way that they treat us. We all know that families are the first teachers that children have, and so we need to make sure that we have a very healthy mutual respect for the families and the role that they're playing in their child's development. So, chapter 8 in your textbook focuses on the parent teacher relationship and partnership. And I absolutely would stress the word partnership because it does take both parties working together for the same goal of seeing the child reach their full potential. So one of the things that you will like about chapter 8 is it's not a very long chapter at all, but it does give some important points of discussion of how we should make sure that we are including families in the classroom, definitely ways that we can communicate with families. So there's lots of different ways that we can keep parents in the loop, whether it's informal, which is just a quick chat at the door, or formalized, which could be like a newsletter. And some teachers even have web pages for their particular classroom. One of the things that I want to make sure that you keep in mind is that you can't assume anything about families when it comes to communication. So we would all like to think that everyone has a smartphone and everyone has access to a computer, which means that I can send my newsletters through email, or I can keep everyone posted on my web page. But the problem is that we can't make that assumption. And so it's unfair if some parents aren't going to be able to get the same information simply because we only provided one avenue to get that information to them. So make sure that you find out how parents want to be communicated with. Some may want a handwritten note. Some may want a phone call. Some may say that a text is fine. Some may say that putting the information on your web page is something that they're going to be able to easily access. But you need to make sure that you're making the effort to keep parents informed as best as you can. And so the chapter really does a good job of talking about communicating with families and involving them in the classroom. Please remember that parents and families, they want to be involved. They really do. And sometimes they feel like maybe that they can't because their work schedule won't allow them to come in and help during the school day. But there's so many ways that parents and families can be involved. So when I was teaching, I actually would have a sign up on one of the first days of school where parents could sign up for ways that they wanted to help with my class. And that didn't always mean being in the classroom. So sometimes I had parents who would be the coordinators for field trips. So they would make the phone calls to make sure that I had enough volunteers whenever we were going on a field trip. I had a parent who they would actually compile all of my Scholastic book orders and enter it on the website for me. So all I had to do was send home the order forms with her child, and so she did all of the work at home. When my mom was teaching and she was a preschool teacher, she would have parents who would volunteer to take the toys home on the weekends to wash them and sanitize them. So keep in mind that there's lots of different ways that we can have parents involved in the classroom. And the more that we can do that, I just think the better that the child is going to be, because they're going to see that both the teachers and the families are working together for their benefit. So when you go into this week's Blackboard, you're going to see, here's the PowerPoint. But the other thing that's in Blackboard is actually NACCE's Code of Ethics. And so this is actually in the back of your textbook, but I've put it here in PDF format. This is something that's really important for you to know of, and to know how to use. So basically, the ethics statement is divided into different parts, saying that we as educators have an ethical responsibility to children. We have an ethical responsibility to families, to our colleagues, to the community. And so, what I want you to do after you have read the chapter and viewed the PowerPoint is I want you to go through the family section of the ethics position statement. And so, you're actually going to be doing your discussion board based off of that. So, I really want you to look through that section and kind of pull out the things that you think are really important. And so, when you're discussing it on Blackboard, tell us what you pulled out, but tell us why you think that's important. Is it because it's something that you haven't seen? Something that you have personally experienced? But again, this is our way to communicate with each other and to share the lessons that we're learning or have learned along our path to get here. So this is your final real discussion board. Next week, for our final week, you'll just have a reflections discussion board. So once you get through with this one, then you know that you have officially completed the real discussion boards. So I think that's it for this week. Don't forget to be working on your thematic unit assignment. Don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions. And if you read the announcement this week, you'll see that you have an opportunity to earn some extra credit points on your thematic unit assignment if you turn it in early. So that is a mutually beneficial opportunity, because you'll get it out of the way before the end of the semester, and then I will have the opportunity to grade it sooner, so that we're both done. So have a fantastic week, and I will see you next week in our final week.